Welcome to Screen Riot. This week we're looking at Oliver Stone's 1989 Vietnam biographical movie, Born on the 4th of July. The movie stars Tom Cruise, who plays Ron Kovic, an all American boy who patriotically signs up to fight as a Marine in the Vietnam War. The story follows Kovic through the war and then through the post war struggles he finds in civilian life. I was very young when I saw this movie, so before being in the military. And I didn't particularly remember much. I think I was just kind of watching for the battle sequences when I was younger. Fast forward 20, 25 years, however long it's been since I've seen that movie, and I really like the movie's focus on post-war. And I think this movie does a pretty good job of showing all the sides of that, all the patriotic sides, all the blaming the wrong people for seemingly doing what they were told. And it's a pretty complex, no single answer to give you, Justin, about how does it make me feel. I think
Sure.
I perhaps understood. I understood, and I was glad it wasn't just gung ho and glorifying war. And in a way, I was glad it really showed you kind of the spiral that can happen to people and the resources that aren't available. We cheer them on and we thank them for their service until they get back and they can't walk, and then we're kind of like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't want to donate any money to Veterans Affairs. I
Well,
think it does a
obviously there was no money in Veterans Affairs because that hospital looked like trash.
dude.
I
Yeah, that
was,
was horrible.
I'm like, if this is even close to what it actually was like back then, I was mortified at the malpractice that was going on in that hospital, like all the tubes and everything. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is so nasty. It's like, how did these people even
Well,
survive?
both Ron Kovic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He,
I think
he
so.
he was. It's obviously based on him. He did a couple tours there. Also, Oliver Stone was, I believe, in the army. He was in Vietnam too. So
Oh,
I don't think there's any glorification in any way
no.
on uh, on the portrayal you see.
To me, a very eye-opening slash hard watch because it's like, man, it's like he's the opposite of Hitchcock, right? Hitchcock was all you don't have to show it, you can allude to it. Oliver Stone's like, no, I'm showing it, and there's a reason I'm showing it, and it's not a shock value. It's like, no, you should know about this, you should see this, and everything from what happened in the Vietnam villages to the the quote unquote mundane things of how do you function if you're paralyzed from the waist down? How does your body function? You see that.
They definitely use the masculinity theme there too, right? Like it's very macho, masculine to sign up and go to the military, and then what gets taken from Kovic is his manhood. And I mean, they focus on that all the time, right? It's like, I don't have a penis anymore. It's left in the jungle, and a lot of it. Which was a little weird to watch. The whole how does a paraplegic have sex and what kind of like mental strain. There's a pretty large focus on that, which is I find quite
Mhm.
strange, but I totally got the message.
Yeah, I like how this movie came full circle when young Kovic was at the parade. So when he was in the parade, he was doing the same thing. It's just like, yeah, that's kind of the harshness of war.
Another part like that, Kyle, where he first gets back, and his parents and the neighborhood's all like, "Oh, how you doing? You're looking great." And he's just kind
Yeah.
of zoned out the whole time, and he doesn't really stop being zoned out until he sees his buddy who also came back. The thing that comforted him was talking about the hells of war, and people get it, but they have these like terrible conversations about, "Oh yeah, he's dead, and these
Hmm.
real dark conversations." But it was like the first time that he kind of opened up and talked to any person back in the civilian life.
The scene that really got me was right when he first came home and he went to his old room.
It's really great to be back in my room.
And his dad just starts breaking down and all. I was like, man, that's rough. That scene got to me a little bit
Hmm.
because back then, father figures, you weren't supposed to be seen crying and supposed to be stalwart and all this stuff, and yeah, he just couldn't hold it back. Um, and I think just going on acting, since we're talking about the movie here, I think Tom Cruise does an excellent job in this movie, and kind of makes me a little bit more of a fan of Tom Cruise. And I was reading that the real Ron Kovic apparently liked Tom Cruise's performance so much that he gave him his Bronze Star.
Well, if I were to have some critiques about this movie, and I think this would be a lot of people's critiques if you wanted to critique this movie, it would be that they front load all the Vietnam War scenes, which they're kind of going by the book, right? They're kind of going in chronological order. But I think there's a way where you can take that combat and maybe, because he did 2 tours in Vietnam and he came back uh, and met protesters, which kind of fueled him to go again. You could have worked some of that in to put an extended break between the combat, so it's not combat heavy and then pretty much a depression ride down. It keeps getting darker and darker and darker. You could have a little bit of ebbs and flows in there. It's not particularly my critique of the movie, but it's one that I felt wouldn't have hurt if they went in that direction.
At the end of the parade, giving the speech, he was still on the path of, this is a winnable war and all that kind of stuff. And then he kind of had some flashbacks and everything. And it was a very quick transition between him supporting the war and him against the war.
Yeah, if you wanted to make up time, I would have shrunk down the brothel stuff, because
Yeah.
for a while I felt like it dragged on quite a bit, and it was just so strange.
His Mexico time.
And I don't know how much time he actually spent in there, but it felt like it was about 1/3 of the movie. But was it 1/3 of his life? Because he was there and back pretty quick. This whole movie takes place over not that long of a time period, right? It's like the first half of the movie is about 3 years or something.
And he meets that prostitute and basically falls in love with her, or thinks he's falling in love with her, and buys her a present. And then he comes to the realization, wait a second, she's a whore, and, and he takes it away. It's like, just his whole array of emotions that he goes through.
There's a kind of a random veteran rolls up to him, and he's not looking great, and he goes, "You need to get out of here, man." And he's like, "This is another step down the spiral. Like, you do not need to be here." And he doesn't listen to him, obviously, and continues to go down the spiral. I thought that scene was very memorable.
Oliver Stone knows how to shoot some war footage, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it might be because like Roman said, that he has experience probably with it, so he knows how to make it feel chaotic and everything. But I love like the cinematography of like the backdrop of like that golden hour, like sunset. I was like, oh, that's an amazing shot to me. And later found out that it was nominated for best cinematography.
He really liked that look, Oliver Stone, because when Tom Cruise and Willem Dafoe, got kicked out of that taxi, they were in kind of along the same environment at the same time as when like Tom Cruise was, in those battle scenes or whatnot. And so I thought it was going to spark some sort of flashback, and they were gonna either fight to the death or do something weird.
So we basically need to decide if we are going to stream it or skip it. So I'm gonna say stream it.
I'm gonna say stream it as well.
This is a stream for me.
Yeah, go ahead and stream it.
So we can emphatically recommend Born on the 4th of July, Tom Cruise's 1989 film. So join us next Saturday. We are going to be continuing our Memorial Day for month of May, where we are going to be taking a look at Men of Honor. All right, so see you guys.
See ya.
See ya.